Remy Ma is a surgeon, and by the end of this video that statement is going to hit harder than any bell you've ever heard in your life. And before we ride any deeper into it, I hope every last one of you is breathing easy tonight, because the shredding we're about to do to a certain boxing champion turned homewrecker is not for the faint of heart. Happy Friday, my people. I hope your week has been a full 10 out of 10, because Remy Ma just dropped a 10 out of 10 on that woman's whole existence, and we are about to walk through every single stitch of it. This might genuinely be one of the wildest breakdowns I've ever put on this channel, and you already know the drill. Smash that like button, and I mean really smash it, because we are standing shoulder to shoulder tonight and sending a very loud message to the spin monks in the comments section who keep pretending Remy Ma isn't cooking. She is cooking. She is cooking. Not Claressa Shields cooking. Not put a branch on a plate cooking. Remy Ma is baking a whole crumble from scratch on this beef, and if you want to catch every layer, you already know what to do. Subscribe if you haven't, tap the bell, and pull up a chair, because tonight the kitchen is officially open and the smoke is not going anywhere. Now peep this, because what triggered this entire fresh wave of chaos is not some anonymous blog post, and it's not some blurry clip on a burner account. It is Remy Ma herself, sitting comfortably in an interview chair, laying out a full inventory of everything she brings to the table as a woman, as a wife, as a partner, and as the one that Papoose walked away from. And the way she laid it out was so surgical, so clean, so methodically petty that Claressa Shields could not even respond in her own language. She had to run to the internet, run to her phone, and try to yell her way out of a checkmate that had already been played. And this is the part the defense drones do not want to acknowledge. Remy Ma did not raise her voice. Remy Ma did not throw a bottle. Remy Ma did not tag anybody. Remy Ma sat down and read out a résumé. And that résumé folded a whole Olympic gold medalist in half like a cheap lawn chair. Not with a shout. Not with a slur. Just with a list. A list so clean that even Claressa Shields' own supporters started going quiet in the group chats. Let's rewind, because context is everything, and I want the newer folks in the room to catch every angle. Papoose, a man who spent over a decade of his career being introduced as Remy Ma's husband, decided that after all those years of loyalty statements, all those years of the love of my life speeches, all those years of writing bars about her, he was going to walk out the front door and land directly in the arms of Claressa Shields. Claressa Shields, an undefeated boxer with a resume in the ring that nobody can dispute, but a resume outside of it that is starting to look shakier by the hour. And that is where this whole thing turns sideways. Because the Claressa Shields we were told about, the champion, the disciplined athlete, the girl with the gloves and the discipline, is not the Claressa Shields we've been watching on live stream after live stream. The one we've been watching is loud, chaotic, unwashed by all reports, and locked in a public war with a woman who is not even breaking a sweat. That contrast is the whole story. That contrast is what turned this into the biggest culture beef of the year. Remy Ma sat down for this interview and calmly walked through her greatest hits. She said, and I'm paraphrasing here because this is not a copy and paste operation, she said she is the whole package. She watches every major sport in the country. She doesn't just watch, she studies. She knows the coaches. She knows the rotations. She knows who's about to get traded before the ticker even scrolls the news. She knows the draft class. She knows the storylines. She knows which rookie is being groomed for a max contract and which veteran is being quietly pushed toward retirement. If you're a man who lives and breathes ball, Remy Ma is not going to make you explain the offense to her at halftime. She's the one explaining it to you. And if that's not enough, if you're the type of guy who runs in a different lane, she said she can meet you there too. She said if you're in the streets, she's got the plug. If you love firearms, she loves them too. If you like whatever it is that men tend to gravitate toward, she rides for it, she understands it, and she can move with it. That is not a small claim. That is a statement of full-spectrum compatibility. That is a woman announcing to the entire world that whatever room a man wants to walk into, she can walk into that room with him and hold her own. And then, because Remy Ma has never been the type to leave a job half done, she pivoted straight to the kitchen. She said she doesn't just cook. She cooks. Say it with me, family. Cooks. Cook. Meaning the kind of cooking where your man licks the plate, asks for seconds, compliments you unprompted, and starts wondering whether he can bring his boys over next weekend just to show off what's coming out of your oven. She said she bakes too, and she made a point of separating the two, because plenty of women can throw down on a stove but panic the second flour hits the counter. Remy Ma said, no ma'am, she can bake a cheesecake from scratch, she can bake an apple pie, she can pull off a crumble, and she can do it while getting you a pair of floor seats to the game you've been dying to see. That is the resume. Floor seats and a homemade dessert. In the same evening. From the same woman. That is what Papoose walked away from. And every single man watching that interview felt a physical wince run down his spine, because every single man watching knew exactly what Papoose gave up when he took that walk. And here's where the whole thing folds in on itself. Because while Remy Ma is delivering that resume with a calm smile on national platforms, Claressa Shields is over on Instagram Live, in a house that reportedly looks like a museum of half-finished projects, trying to force a plate of unseasoned food into a grown man's mouth and asking him to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And Papoose, God bless him, is sitting there like a hostage in a very slow negotiation. He is squinting at the plate. He is choosing his words. He is going for the safest possible answer. He says the food is amazing. He says it was seasoned perfectly. He asks for another plate, not because he wants another plate, but because the room needs him to want another plate. And you can see it in his face. That is not a man enjoying a meal. That is a man doing damage control in real time on somebody else's live stream. That is a man calculating every syllable so he doesn't accidentally end up on a viral clip for the wrong reason. That is a man performing peace of mind while his eyes are quietly screaming for the exits. Now, I want you to pause on that scene for a second and really let it settle. Papoose, one of the most respected lyricists in New York for the last 20 years, a man who has ciphered with legends, a man whose wife just walked into a room and casually claimed to be the perfect woman with the receipts to prove it, is now performing culinary compliments under duress on a live stream that is being watched by literally the entire internet. That is not a glow-up. That is a hostage tape with better lighting. And every single body language expert in the comments section knew it. Every single relationship coach on the timeline knew it. Every single auntie watching from her living room knew it. Papoose was not a boyfriend on that stream. Papoose was a captive. Claressa Shields, meanwhile, is doing what Claressa Shields has done through this entire ordeal. She is yelling. She is streaming. She is filming from angles that reveal way too much of the house behind her. And that house, my friends, has become a co-star in this whole saga. Because every time she goes on live, there is another pile of laundry, another dirty counter, another item that has not been put back where it belongs. And the fanbase started noticing. The comment section started noticing. Even the passing scrollers started noticing. And when the whole world starts noticing your background before they notice you, that is a signal that your PR strategy is falling apart in real time. That is a signal that the story is running away from you. That is a signal that you have officially lost control of your own narrative. And it gets worse. Because right on cue, an artist by the name of Geisha 305 dropped a diss record about Claressa Shields, and the record is not aimed at her boxing. The record is not aimed at her career. The record is not even aimed at her taste in men. The record is aimed at her fingernails. Yes, you heard me correctly. Her fingernails. Because in one of these many live streams, Claressa Shields showed the camera a hand that would have made a public health inspector weep, and the internet, being the merciless comedy machine it is, decided that hand was going to become the centerpiece of an entire discography. Geisha 305 turned that hand into a hook. She turned that hook into a chorus. She turned that chorus into a track. And that track has been playing rent-free in every comment section for weeks now. Every barbershop is playing it. Every hair salon is playing it. Every group chat has forwarded it at least 3 times. And Claressa Shields does not have a single lyrical answer for it. And here is the part that the clout hostages defending Claressa Shields keep skipping over. Claressa Shields dared Remy Ma to say her name. Claressa Shields stood in front of a camera and said, and I'm paraphrasing again, that Remy Ma didn't have the nerve to call her out directly. Well, Remy Ma answered. Remy Ma answered in an interview. Remy Ma answered on a track. Remy Ma answered by walking into every room Claressa Shields has ever hoped to be respected in and calmly reminding the entire audience that she was there first, she was there longest, and she is still there. And when Geisha 305 dropped that fingernail record, she also dared Claressa Shields to respond. And what did Claressa Shields do? She got quiet. She got real quiet. The same woman who was demanding smoke from Remy Ma suddenly could not find a single bar for an actual rapper who called her out by name. That silence spoke louder than any interview she has ever done. Now peep this, because this is where the story gets truly cinematic. Papoose, remember, is still in that house. He is still eating those plates. He is still being asked to rate food on a scale of 1 to 10 while his wife, his actual wife, is being crowned the perfect woman by half of the internet. And Remy Ma made sure to mention, without directly mentioning, that she is still, technically, dealing with him. She said, and I want you to catch this because it's important, she said he better step it up. She did not say it is over. She did not say she has moved on. She said he better step it up. That is not the language of a woman writing somebody off. That is the language of a woman who has already decided that this little detour into the world of Claressa Shields is temporary, embarrassing, and eventually going to end with Papoose walking his tail back through her front door. And Remy Ma delivered that line with the exact same calm she has carried this entire ordeal with. No shake in the voice. No crack in the composure. Just facts. And you can feel it in Papoose. You can see it in the way he sits on those lives. You can see it in the way he answers questions. You can see it in the way he flinches when the camera pans a little too wide and catches a corner of the room that clearly has not been cleaned since he moved in. That is a man who misses home. That is a man who misses seasoned food. That is a man who misses walking into a kitchen that smells like something a grandmother would be proud of. That is a man who misses a woman who is not going to yell at his relatives for existing, who is not going to keep a phone in his face for 18 hours a day, who is not going to demand that he compliment every burnt piece of chicken like it just won a James Beard Award. That is a man who left a 5-star hotel for a roadside motel and is now trying to convince the world the motel has room service. And here's the thing about a man who misses home. He always goes back. That's how the tape always plays out, ain't it? Every single time. He tries the other side of the fence, the grass looks a little different, the sun hits a little different, but the second he wants a real meal or a real conversation or a real partner, he starts walking back toward the porch he was raised on. And Remy Ma knows this. Remy Ma has known this the entire time. That is why she has been so calm. That is why she has not raised her voice. That is why she has been doing interviews with the confidence of a woman who has already read the last page of the book. Because she has. She wrote it. She's the author of this entire narrative and she has been letting the other side dig their own hole one live stream at a time. And now let's talk about the ecosystem, because this is bigger than 3 people. This is bigger than 1 boxer, 1 rapper, and 1 wife. This is a masterclass in how a public relationship falls apart when one side has substance and the other side has spectacle. Claressa Shields, whatever you think of her as a boxer, and I want to be clear, her boxing resume is real, has been running a spectacle campaign. Every live stream is a spectacle. Every outfit is a spectacle. Every argument is a spectacle. And spectacle burns hot but it burns fast. Remy Ma, meanwhile, has been running a substance campaign. Every bar is a receipt. Every interview is a receipt. Every calm smile is a receipt. And receipts do not burn. Receipts get filed. Receipts get pulled out later. Receipts win in court. Receipts survive the news cycle. Receipts sit on the record long after the noise dies down. And Remy Ma has been quietly building a receipt library that historians of this culture are going to reference for the next 15 years. And that is why, when Remy Ma sat down and calmly rattled off her resume, the entire beef changed shape overnight. Because she was not attacking Claressa Shields. She was reminding Papoose. She was reminding Papoose of the woman he already has. She was reminding Papoose of the meals he already ate. She was reminding Papoose of the floor seats he already sat in. She was reminding Papoose of the connections he already had. She was reminding Papoose that the woman he walked away from is not somebody he replaces. She is somebody he loses. And loss, for a man of his age and his career stage, is not a thing you shake off. It is a thing you sit with for the rest of your life. It is a thing that shows up in your bars. It is a thing that shows up in your interviews. It is a thing that shows up in every mirror you pass on the way to the bathroom for the next 30 years. Now let me talk to the drones for a second. Because I know some of you in the Claressa Shields defense camp are typing right now. You are typing about how Remy Ma is bitter. You are typing about how Remy Ma should move on. You are typing about how Remy Ma is punching down at an athlete. Let me stop you right there. Remy Ma is not bitter. Remy Ma is unbothered. There is a difference. Bitter is when you can't stop talking about the person who hurt you. Unbothered is when the person who hurt you can't stop talking about you. Remy Ma has done maybe 2, maybe 3 targeted interviews on this. Claressa Shields is on livestream every single night, mentioning Remy Ma, referencing Remy Ma, daring Remy Ma. Tell me who is bitter in that math. Tell me who is haunted in that math. Tell me who is losing sleep in that math. Because it is not Remy Ma. Remy Ma is sleeping like a queen with a signed lease on the culture's attention. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about the Geisha 305 record for one more second, because it is doing something very important in this story. It is signaling to the culture, and I mean the actual culture, that Claressa Shields is not one of us. She is not going to be adopted by the rap community. She is not going to be given the passes that boxers usually get when they cross over. Because when Geisha 305 dropped that record, nobody defended Claressa Shields. Nobody rushed to her side. Nobody barred back on her behalf. And that is a signal. That is the culture saying, quietly, that this woman is on her own. That is the culture saying that when you come for one of ours, when you come for Remy Ma, who is a New York institution, you do it alone. You do it without backup. You do it without the safety net of the community, and you get the response you get. And Claressa Shields is finding out, one silent group chat at a time, that hip-hop does not extend its umbrella to somebody who tried to walk in through the side door. Now, back to Papoose. Back to the man of the hour. Back to the poor soul stuck in the middle of all of this. I want to say something about Papoose that I think the memes have obscured. Papoose is a very talented man. Papoose has written some of the most technical bars this city has heard in the last 2 decades. Papoose is not a joke. But Papoose is currently in a joke of a situation. And there is a difference. A talented man can end up in a comedy sketch if he makes enough bad decisions in a row. And the bad decisions here are stacking. Bad decision 1, the public jump from Remy Ma to Claressa Shields. Bad decision 2, the live stream appearances. Bad decision 3, the plate reviews. Bad decision 4, the silence when Remy Ma dropped her résumé interview. Bad decision 5, being present in the room while Claressa Shields tried to bait him into insulting his own wife. Every single one of those decisions has cost him public equity. And public equity, once lost, is very hard to earn back. Reputations are built brick by brick and demolished live stream by live stream. The mask just slipped clean off, my friends. That is what happened over the last 2 weeks. The mask that said Claressa Shields was a peaceful new chapter for Papoose. The mask that said Remy Ma was going to fade into the background gracefully. The mask that said the public was going to root for the new couple because they were fresh and shiny. All of that just slipped clean off. And what is underneath is exactly what a lot of us suspected from the beginning. A grown man with regret in his eyes, a boxer with a chip on her shoulder, and a wife across the river with the receipts, the résumé, and the last laugh. And that last laugh, my friends, is echoing across every barbershop, every kitchen, every group chat, every commute in this country. And I have to be honest with you all, this is the part that fascinates me the most. Because we are watching, in real time, a woman refuse to lose. Remy Ma is refusing to lose. And she is refusing to lose without ever raising her voice above a conversational tone. That is a masterclass. That is a public relations masterclass. That is a marketing masterclass. That is a womanhood masterclass. And every young woman watching this beef unfold should be taking notes. Because Remy Ma is teaching a course on how you handle a public embarrassment without ever handing your opponent the win they were looking for. She is teaching a course on grace under fire. She is teaching a course on how to weaponize composure. And Claressa Shields, whether she realizes it or not, is the case study that this course will be built around for the next generation. Compare that, And I hate to keep circling back to it, but the comparison writes itself, to Claressa Shields. Compare Remy Ma's Resume interview to Claressa Shields' livestream cooking session. One is a woman calmly listing her strengths in a room full of professionals. The other is a woman forcing a hostage to compliment a plate of unseasoned food on camera. One is grace. The other is a symptom. And when history looks back on this moment, and history will look back on this moment because the culture is going to keep referencing it for years, that contrast is going to be the headline. The resume versus the plate. The interview versus the live stream. The wife versus the situation. Remy Ma versus everything else. That is the tagline of this entire era. And here is the wildest part. Papoose knows. Papoose absolutely knows. You can see it in his eyes. Every time he does an interview, every time he does a live stream, every time he is asked about any of this, there is a flicker in his face that says, I made a mistake. That flicker is going to grow. That flicker is going to become a full realization. And when that realization lands, Papoose is going to make his walk. He is going to make the walk back home. He is going to make the walk that every man who has ever left a good woman has eventually made. And Remy Ma is going to be sitting in that kitchen, seasoning something on the stove, waiting to see if he has the humility to knock. Whether she opens the door is another conversation entirely, but the walk itself is inevitable. Now, let's talk about the internet economy of all of this, because I would be doing you a disservice if I didn't. This beef has become an industry. There are entire channels running on nothing but the daily updates. There are entire live stream hosts booking their nightly numbers on the back of whatever Claressa Shields says next. There are entire podcasts titled after variations of Papoose's regret. And that is the accidental gift Remy Ma has given the culture. She has created a story so juicy, so layered, so full of characters that an entire ecosystem is feeding on it. And she has done it without releasing a single ugly quote. She has done it with class. She has done it with poise. She has done it with the kind of restraint that used to be common in this industry and has become almost extinct. A whole cottage industry of commentary is thriving because of the way she chose to carry herself. Meanwhile, Claressa Shields has become a walking headline generator, but not the kind of headlines a person wants. The kind of headlines that generate memes and lawsuits and podcast segments about hygiene. That is not a legacy. That is a warning. And every young woman entering the public spotlight should be studying this beef the way boxing students study old fight tapes. Because this is what happens when you underestimate a New York wife. This is what happens when you underestimate a woman who has been in this game for 2 full decades. This is what happens when you assume that because your left hook is quick, your comeback game is going to be quick too. It is not the same skill set. It has never been the same skill set. And Claressa Shields is finding that out on live camera, night after night, for an audience that grows bigger every single evening. Every jab she throws lands on empty air. Every insult she launches gets absorbed by silence. Every threat she makes gets answered with a smile. And let me widen the lens one more time, because I want to make sure the newer viewers on the channel are getting the full landscape here. This beef is not just a hip-hop story. This is a story about womanhood in the public eye in 2026. This is a story about how you carry yourself when the cameras are on. This is a story about how you defend your household without turning it into a spectacle. This is a story about how you take a public loss and turn it into a public win by simply refusing to break stride. And Remy Ma is not just winning this beef. She is winning the entire cultural moment. She is winning the marketing. She is winning the sympathy. She is winning the meme economy. She is winning the future case study that they will teach in media studies classrooms in 10 years. She has turned an embarrassing personal moment into a professional victory lap that stretches across every timeline on every platform. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room, and I want the honest viewers on this channel to sit with me on this for a second. Some folks in the comments section have been asking, why should any of us care about this beef at all? Why does it matter which grown adult ate whose plate on whose live stream? And the answer is simple. It matters because Remy Ma is a Bronx legend who spent 6 years in prison, came home, and built her career back from scratch with her husband by her side. It matters because Papoose is a man who wrote loyalty into his brand, who made loyalty the entire selling point of his catalog, and who has now spent the last several months publicly undermining the exact brand he built. It matters because Claressa Shields is not just some random woman off the street. She is an Olympic champion. She has represented the country on the world stage. And she chose to spend her cultural capital on a public romance with somebody else's husband. That is a story. That is a story we get to have opinions on. That is a story the culture is entitled to comment on because the participants chose to make it a public matter. And now let's dig into Papoose's specific mistakes, because I think this deserves a closer look. When Papoose first stepped out into the public with Claressa Shields, the excuse from his defenders was, well, his marriage was already over, so give the man some grace. Fine. Let's say that was true. Let's say the marriage was already done. That still doesn't explain why Papoose felt the need to become a live stream mascot. That still doesn't explain why Papoose felt the need to sit in the background while Claressa Shields verbally sparred with Remy Ma across social media. That still doesn't explain why Papoose stopped defending Remy Ma when the internet was calling her every name under the sun. A gentleman defends the mother of his child. A gentleman defends the woman he built a life with, even when that life is transitioning into a different chapter. Papoose did not do that. And that failure is not something the culture is going to forget quickly. Now let's talk about Claressa Shields' rap dreams, because we have to. Claressa Shields has been trying to break into hip-hop for a while now. She has dropped records. She has done freestyles. She has begged for ciphers. And the culture has responded with the same polite indifference it responds with every time a non-rapper tries to force their way in. And that would have been fine. That would have been survivable. Plenty of athletes have tried and failed and moved on. But Claressa Shields did something different. Claressa Shields decided the way to get respect in hip-hop was to attach herself to a Brooklyn lyricist and antagonize his New York wife. That was the plan. And that plan has backfired so spectacularly that the culture is now using her as a cautionary tale in every group chat that touches the industry. And here is what nobody is saying loudly enough. Remy Ma did not have to say a single word for this beef to have a winner. All Remy Ma had to do was sit still and let Claressa Shields keep talking. That is the power of a confident woman. That is the power of somebody who does not need to prove anything to anybody. Remy Ma has already earned her place. Remy Ma has already been on every classic freestyle you can name from the last 20 years. Remy Ma has already been in the Hall of Fame conversation. Claressa Shields is fighting for a seat at a table Remy Ma has been sitting at since before Claressa Shields could throw a jab. And that gap in stature is showing on every live stream Claressa Shields does. Let me address the men in the audience directly for a moment, because I know some of you are watching this and secretly rooting for Papoose to make it out with his dignity intact. And I hear you. I do. But I want to be honest with you. Papoose's dignity is not going to come from his current situation. Papoose's dignity is going to come from admitting the truth. From owning the mistake. From walking with humility for a season and letting the culture see that he is capable of self-correction. That is the only path back to public respect for him. Not another interview. Not another feature. Not another explanation. Humility. Silence. A slow, quiet rebuild. Papoose has that ability if he chooses to use it. But right now, he is choosing to sit in the middle of a chaos he did not have to be part of. And to the women in the audience, I want to say this. Remy Ma is showing you something rare. Remy Ma is showing you that you do not have to swing back every time somebody swings at you. Remy Ma is showing you that silence, when it is well-timed, is louder than any comeback. Remy Ma is showing you that when you know your own worth, you do not have to prove it to anybody. Take that lesson home. Save that lesson. Because the next time somebody in your life tries to force you to compete for their attention, you are going to want to remember exactly how Remy Ma handled Claressa Shields. She did not compete. She just kept living. And in that refusal to compete, she won everything. Now, before I wrap this up, I want to give a shout out to Geisha 305. Because that record was not just funny. That record was a public service. It reframed the entire narrative around Claressa Shields in about 90 seconds. It planted an image in the culture that no amount of PR is ever going to fully wash off. And that is what a good diss record does. A good diss record is not just words. A good diss record is a visual. It is a smell. It is a texture. And Geisha 305 delivered a visual, a smell, and a texture in one track. Salute to her for that. That was a masterclass in economy of language and cultural precision. Whether you love the song or hate the song, you have to respect the craft. Geisha 305 turned a live stream slip into a permanent piece of internet folklore. And now, back to Papoose one final time. Papoose, if by some cosmic accident you are watching this video, I want to say something to you directly, from one observer of the culture to a man I have respected as a lyricist for a very long time. Go home. Go home to the seasoning. Go home to the floor seats. Go home to the woman who studied the game with you, who ciphered with you, who raised the household with you, who defended you in every room you weren't in. Go home. The live streams will keep going without you. The plates will keep being cooked without you. The internet will find its next storyline within a week. But your household, your actual household, the one you built with your actual wife, that only exists as long as you keep walking back to it. Go home, King. Go home. This little detour has cost you enough public equity for one lifetime. There is still a door open, but nobody knows how long it will stay that way. And to the drone still typing in the comments, I already know what you are going to say. You are going to say I am biased. You are going to say I am picking sides. You are going to say I don't understand the situation. Let me be clear. I am biased. I am picking a side. I don't need to understand the entire situation, because the situation is broadcasting itself to me every single night on live stream. I am picking the side of the woman who is being calm while the other side is being chaotic. I am picking the side of the woman who is being classy while the other side is being messy. I am picking the side of substance over spectacle. And if that makes me biased, then I am proudly biased. Because in a culture that keeps rewarding the loudest, the messiest, the most chaotic, someone has to stand up for the person who is doing it right. And Remy Ma is doing it right. Every single day. Every single interview. Every single silence. Let me also address one more thing before we get to the outro. There is a small but loud group of commenters who keep saying that Remy Ma should let Papoose go and stop mentioning him. To those commenters, I want to say, respectfully, you are misreading the room. Remy Ma is not chasing Papoose. Remy Ma is answering questions she is being asked by interviewers, and she is answering them honestly. The interviewers keep bringing him up because the culture wants to hear from her. That is not chasing. That is being in demand. There is a difference between chasing a man and being in demand as a public figure whose personal life has become a public conversation. Remy Ma is the latter, not the former. And every time she chooses to speak, she does it on her own terms, in her own tone, and with her own timing. Now, one more layer, because I want to make sure this video is complete. Let's talk about the long game. In 1 year from now, in 2 years from now, in 5 years from now, where is each of these people going to be? Remy Ma is going to be exactly where she is now. Remy Ma is going to be respected. Remy Ma is going to be booking interviews. Remy Ma is going to be dropping features. Remy Ma is going to be a Bronx legend with a legacy that has only grown from this ordeal. Papoose is going to be either back home in some form or quietly working his way through a series of features nobody is really paying attention to, depending on which door he chooses to walk through. Claressa Shields is going to be in one of two places. Either she is going to have grown from this, made peace with the culture, cleaned up her public image, and moved on with genuine humility, or she is going to be a punchline in a decade of memes. The choice is hers. Nobody else can make it for her. If you are still riding with me right now, I see you. I appreciate you. You are the reason this channel exists, and you are the reason the next video is going to be even bigger. Because I have more coming on this saga. There are angles we haven't touched yet. There are receipts we haven't unpacked yet. There are stories I am sitting on that will drop when the timing is right. So make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you have the bell on. Make sure you have my new sister channel bookmarked, because we are going deep on the culture there as well. And drop a comment. Tell me who you think is going to make the first move next. Is Papoose going to make the walk? Is Claressa Shields going to escalate one more time? Is Remy Ma going to finally raise her voice? I want your predictions, because you all have been calling this saga better than the professionals have. And I am here for every last one of your takes. Before I sign off, one last thought. Remember why this story hits. It hits because we all know somebody like Remy Ma. We all know a woman who has quietly carried the weight of a relationship, a household, a family, a career, and who has watched somebody she loved make a decision that broke her heart. And we all want to know that that woman can win. We all want to know that grace pays off. We all want to know that composure gets rewarded. And Remy Ma is proving, in real time, that it does. Remy Ma is proving that if you keep your head down and your standards up, the culture eventually catches on. The culture eventually turns your way. The culture eventually stands behind you. That is the lesson. That is the takeaway. That is what you tell your daughter. That is what you tell your sister. That is what you tell your niece. Remy Ma over spectacle. Every single time. Until next time, family. Stay classy. Stay observant. Stay on the right side of history. Because Remy Ma just handed us a lesson, and the smart ones among us are going to take notes. Peace.